Hi everyone, welcome to our channel again. Today I'm here to encourage us or people that are still growing, the younger generation. I will be using my life stories and experiences to talk to someone. I'm from a family of 6. We grew up in poverty. I have a twin brother who I'm always grateful for, that we came into this world as one. And so we grew up in this kind of household that we never knew about having a TV. We used to go watch TV in neighbors' homes or relatives' homes, but we were still really happy with our lives. We never complained. And during some Christmas, we wouldn't have like Christmas clothes. They would buy us like one cloth for a long time and we were wearing it happily. We would go to the farm, assist our parents, help them before they would get some crops from the farm to sell and be able to pay our fees. And when I say parents, it's not like both parents. We never knew about what fathers do for their kids. We just were like, basically our mother did everything she could for us. She would do like farming. She would go under the trees to fetch kola nut to peel and sell before she's able to buy us palm oil. And I get emotional when I talk about these things. Okay. All right. So most people, they know me. They don't know who I am, but they know me as the quiet person who doesn't talk, who doesn't like interact. But behind all the behaviors, you may not know the background story to all of this. Okay. I have to be strong. Okay. Yeah, yet we never complained. We were happy children, knowing that this is the way of life. And then we grew up, we finished our elementary school. And at that time, that was like finishing school for us because we never had the dream of going to college. And so, well, we had an elder brother who stepped up like a father figure for us. And he paid our fees through the elementary school. And then we went through that. He put us into different trades. At least we were happy. We appreciated that he stepped up and he got us somewhere. I mean, the possible place that he was able to get us. I went to the typing school. My brother went to do, I think, carpentry or something. And then gradually, my elder sister, she was put to learn like tailoring. I don't know. Yeah, she learned how to sew clothes, to make clothes. And so our younger sister, who had passed away, was the baby of the family. So that one, at least, she had some chances, maybe because by the time she was growing up, many more people were having the chance to support her also. So we grew up, and then I was trained as a typist, a secretary, and I graduated from, the name of that school was PSTC. I remember it was very close to the market area in Kumbu, Tamva, where I used to go learn how to type, and we had some subjects too, like office practice, business mathematics, and things like that. But all the time that I was going to that school, I felt like I didn't belong there because during my primary school days, I could say that I was one of those bright children who were like they needed to have a brighter future. But then I went to the typing school. I was happy because at least my elder brother could afford to pay the fees in that school, and I knew that I was going to have a better future. Then I graduated. All of us graduated from our trades, and now we are becoming adults and starting to get into real life, real world. And so there's a lot to talk about, but today I would focus on my story first, and then gradually, as time goes by, you will get to know me and know us, as me and my brother, better. So when I graduated from this typing school, I still have the thought like I was missing something, because the people that I went to elementary school with, they were going to be writing their ordinary levels, advanced levels, and then I was having, what did I write? That exam was called LCC or something. But I always just felt like, okay, there is somewhere else I needed to be and not here. Then after graduating from this typing school, I went down to Yaoundé to live with my elder brother. And there, he did his best. He took me to some offices, like, how old was I? I think I was 16. He took me to some offices trying to get me a job. And I was so timid, like I was as quiet as people could describe me today. Then back then I was even really, really quiet and always very calm. And so he would take me to those offices, and each time we get in and the boss would look at me and they said, no, we can't give her a job. Then he said, why? They said, no, she looks like if she makes a mistake and somebody talks loudly, she would cry. And so it was challenging. So I stayed at home, took care of his kids, and then bit by bit, gradually we were trying to get me a job. And one time we went to, he used to work at, they call that place Said at Elikisono, I remember. And so he took me there one time, went for some brief interview, finished the interview, and it seems the manager was away, but the director said they were going to employ me. And so started working before the contract was even signed. In those days, you would just start working because you are excited, you have gotten the job. And so started working, and like 2 weeks into the job, the manager returned from his trip, and then we were going to sit at table to talk about conditions and my qualification, which I didn't think was any issue at that time. And so when he came, he asked whether I had an ordinary level, and we said no. We had talked about that with the director, and he was okay. And he said, how could they employ someone? And to mention that I was very effective in my job. Like in those days, the secretary would type letters, they would type documents, and that was like a newspaper company, so there were many articles that we were typing, and I was very, very good at typing, because when I finished from the typing school, I could type, I think, 45 words per minute, like really, really fast, and I was proud of myself. So the manager finally said they could not employ someone who doesn't even have an ordinary level. And that is when it rang on my head. Like I started thinking, like, did I miss? Because I felt like I was accomplished. And so that rejection, he didn't even pay me for the 2 weeks that I've been there. No contract was signed, and I had to just stop work without having any money. Went back home, continued taking care of the kids, and then started thinking. My brother and I would go to the town. My elder brother, he's trying to get me a job. And one day he got me a job. Like, we got a job. It was another secretariat where they would do photocopies, type documents for people, photocopy. There was a telephone booth in that place. And so we managed all of these things. And I think my salary, I was about 17, 18. And so my salary at that time, was it 25,000 for the start? Yeah, we used to walk downtown. What do you call that place? Is it downtown? Yaoundé, Central Town. Yeah. So I was happy. I walked in that place, and then I started thinking about how I was rejected a job that was really going to pay me better. And I thought about it. I said, okay, they rejected me because I don't have ordinary level, I don't have advanced level. What if I went back to school? And so I started asking around, and I got to know that there were some evening schools where people could go there and then improve on themselves. So I went back to school. When I got this job, I went back to school, and while I was working, I was going to school in the evening. So I would leave from my job and then just take a taxi from Polytechnic. I worked at a central town, and then they moved me to another location that was at Polytechnic, and that is when I started school. The school was around Biscuiterie, somewhere down Obili there. So after work, I would take a taxi and then went to school, studied, and then school finished at 9. Then I would go home, still living with my brother. So that's how I went back to school. Studied for 3 years, and then I wrote my ordinary level, continued for 2 more years, wrote advanced level, and then I went to the university. And so even when I was writing advanced level, in my head I was like, how am I even going to continue this? Because I was working, I was making that little money. Since I was living in my brother's house, I was able to just keep that money and pay my fees and then get some of my needs, that like books and other things for myself. And so when I got to high school, some things happened and I left the house. Now with my twin brother, we rented a place and then we were living there together. Continued, had my advanced level at this time. And I knew that, okay, this is where I needed to put the pen down. And so I think at that time, my twin brother now could support me because he was doing his own things and at least he was making a little bit of money. He came in, supported me. I also had support from some friends. And then I went through the university. And there is something I never forget. When I went to the university, it took me a long time to make friends. Like I was always quiet in my corner. Why was that? Because I would go out and then I look at girls, I look at the way they dressed, and this is university. And something in me is telling me like, you don't belong here because look at how people are dressing. Why do you keep wearing, like, I didn't have much clothes to wear and change like people were changing. So I had something in me telling me like, this is not the right place for you. Look at the people around you. But then I went there to study, and the first friend I made was a coincidence because we had a test where I did well, and this person really got close to me, and we started forming a study group, and that's how now I started feeling comfortable making friends with people because now they knew that, okay, we could always share ideas. And I also had something to share because I wasn't that bright, but I think I had something to share that they really wanted to have too. And we both were sharing ideas with each other and learning together. And so by the time I was graduating, there was no hope. Like there was nothing for me. Like there was nothing I could say, okay, after graduation, then what next? Yeah, I'm not telling this story to say that I am really a superhuman being. I'm telling the story just to let people understand that if you are struggling, do not always say that there is no hope. Always believe that there will be hope and things will change one day, and just keep working hard, doing what you're doing. And waiting on God, I could say, because sometimes you can't explain like how it happened. And so after I was finishing university, I was thinking like, what next? Am I going to write the École Normale? What is next for me? Will I just then finish and then be idling around, still working in secretariats? What is there for me? And so that was a time that I was starting to really feel like frustrated again. And so at this time, my twin brother, he was trying his best. Like, he had some lines to send people to China, and he was making money there. And so one day I went to visit him, and he listened to me. We talked about a lot of things, and he said I shouldn't worry. He will send me out of the country. And I'm like, how? How is that going to happen? Sorry. Yeah. It is tears of joy. Sorry. Yeah, so he made that promise, and I didn't know like how was this going to happen. And so bit by bit, he started processing the papers, calling schools in China, looking for chances for me. I had an interview, and then one day he did the passport. He processed my passport alone. And still at that time, I couldn't even believe like what was going to happen. I took it lightly, and I said, okay. And then he did all of those things, took me to the Chinese hospital in Yaoundé. We did all the tests. Everything was good. And then I was writing my final paper in the university then. And then he called me one day and said, Ree, your visa is out. And I was like, what? And then the visa was out, we were happy. But how are we now going to get the flight money for me to get to China? So these difficulties, I asked him, and he said, we will see. Yeah, then he had a few people that he was going to send, and he collected all the money he collected from them, put together, booked a flight for me, did all of those things, and told me the flight was ready, the ticket was ready. Like, when I think about these things now, I'm like, how did it even happen? Because I still cannot even think about it. And then I went to China. He paid all those things, saw me off at the airport. I got in the flight. That was a happy time. That was a very happy time for us. We celebrated it. And then I arrived China. I remember talking to one of my friends who told me that, oh, some of our other classmates heard that I went to China, and they were saying, oh, you can never judge Bororo's persons from their shoe, from their chang shoe. Like, let me say it in pidgin. Like, you know if you judge Bororo man from his chang shoes. That was when I even know that I knew that, okay, the feelings I had within myself were so true, and that is what people really looked at me to be, like somebody who can never have that chance to leave the country. So I will stop here today because there is a lot I have to say, but why I'm bringing this story is not to show that we are too powerful or that we were really, like, as children, we didn't know where we would get to. But as we grow up, sometimes doors open that you never could imagine. Things happen in your life, and if you stop dreaming, if you stop working hard, then you will not get there. When I was going to school, I didn't know whether I would have a job in Cameroon. But then when I was finishing, I didn't even have to stay there to be looking for a job. There was this opening. My brother did everything, and I went to China and started living abroad and also feeling like I belong somewhere. So this is just to tell you that whatever situation you find yourself in today, believe in yourself. do what you think is right. Just put your goals, work towards it, and one day you will achieve it. Sometimes help may come from maybe places that you may never expect. My help came from my brother. Yours may come from just people around who know you. It may come from just friends that you move around with. It may just be a piece of advice from a friend, or you may just decide to see how serious your friend is and you take that path, you follow the path, and you try to make something good out of your life. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope that we'll continue with more of these stories. I have a lot to share, and I wish and pray that it touches somebody and make a change in their life, a positive change for sure. Thank you for watching.